Our next guest lives in Molenbeek, the part of Brussels that's come under a global spotlight for its links to a number of suspects in the Paris attacks. Barry Sandland is a Canadian who moved to the city more than a decade ago. The Belgian Prime Minister announced the threat level would remain at Category 4 today, particularly in Brussels, meaning they believe there's an imminent threat. Can you describe the mood right now where you are with regard to that news?
Yeah, well, I live in the sort of the heart of Molenbeek, just 200 meters away from where the police raids were conducted on Monday, Tuesday, and on Friday, Saturday. And, as I'm traveling around now, I've gone from here into the city center, and it's all actually quite calm. People are quite apprehensive. They're apprehensive. I won't say quite apprehensive, but they're alert. But there's nothing tremendously, no great level of tension here.
Are people fearful, though? I mean, when you look at what's happened, the focus in that neighborhood where you live over the last few days, the last week, really, are you seeing a tension?
Not really. I think everybody's got a certain degree of anxiety, I guess, has to be there. Certainly I've had a couple of moments myself. But no, I walk out the door and I see exactly the same neighbors on the streets. We wave and smile and say hello, and we go on our way.
Nobody's talking about it?
Oh, sure, we talk about it. There's definitely conversation. When I got back home the other day, and they just done the raids, they were doing them in process as I came through, and had to zig and zag through the streets to get back to my house. I came across a handful of my neighbors, but they were all concerned about what was going on, worried about the police and the military forces being there. But then we moved on. And I spent yesterday at a cafe, which, granted, a lot of the businesses have closed for the day, for the 2 or 3 days of this military shutdown. But the cafes are open, and the one I was in today was filled with people, and everybody just out for a normal Sunday.
You wrote a lengthy post on Facebook about sitting at that cafe.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a weird moment. I mean, I've been around for 50 years and lived in a pack of different countries, and I've never had a guy just simply walk into a cafe with 2 bags, put them down, and walk straight to the washroom. They were just left right in the middle of the highest foot traffic area, and I didn't really care for the first minute because I saw him come in and put them down. But when he was in the washroom for 5-10 minutes, you suddenly realize that there is a level of anxiety in your system, and it does start to eat away at you. It was all nothing. But, the guy just needed to get out of the rain and out of the snow and get dry. But then you start realizing that there is a certain tension that's inside you regardless.
Let's talk about some of the words that have been used to describe Molenbeek. Poverty, crime-ridden, a hotbed for terrorist activity. What do you have to say about that?
It's an incredibly high population area. There's incredibly high unemployment levels here. It's not a hotbed for terrorists. This is no more. That really does sort of drive me crazy. People talk about the area being sort of a monocultural area. Even in terms of them being Moroccan, there's different strands of cultures that sit there. You have a variety of different people who live in this area. There's a lot of tension because of the packed-in residency. There's certainly a lot of poverty. There's certainly a lot of need in the area. And it's rough around the edges. I mean, nobody can say that Molenbeek's not rough around the edges. But rough around the edges does not make you a terrorist. There has to be some sort of understanding that when you have a poverty-stricken area, and it is a poor area, there are going to be certain tensions that go on. And when people like me, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants come in and we buy an abandoned factory and convert it to ourselves, there is a sense of richness coming into the area that is a bit threatening. And there was some pushback when I first arrived, but now I've got great friends in this area, and I walk out the door and I always have to say hello to 4, 5, 6 people whenever I go out the door, and I still say hello to 4 or 5, 6 people every time I go out the door.
What message do you want to send to people about your neighborhood?
Yeah, that's always a good one. That it's just not as bad as what is being presented. It's not this monocultural, jihadist nest of hotbeds where, everything is in trouble and everything is dangerous. It's actually quite a peaceful area. The people around here are just as shocked and / disappointed because they had the Talise event recently, and they're not ignorant to the idea that there is a Muslim population going abroad, but they're equally disappointed by it. This is not an area that has doors opening up and ferrying people around and hiding people. This is an area of really nice people who believe that they want to get along with everybody else. And I don't have a problem living here. I'm going to stay here because I feel very, very safe.
We'll have to leave it there, but really appreciate speaking with you, Barry. Thank you.
Not a worry. Thank you.
Barry Sandland, a Canadian living in the Molenbeek area of Brussels, joining us via Skype.